Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with a video to discuss some kind of news. I basically just saw this on the forums on Steam and hopped on over to was looking for some more information, and as far as I can see it's been spread to Reddit at this point. Most likely it's going to be on the main forums as well, some sort of discussion about this, and that is the fact that there's been a bit of a leak apparently, and this obviously, so this is just a leak, so this is all subject to change, this is all a bit speculative, but there has been a bit of a leak for Skaven units and regiments of renown. The original post here was from Lockyer Coeur de Pierre on Steam. I do and then over here on Reddit it was spread by Cosbrokit. I don't know if there anywhere else anyone else has shared this. There's a good chance they have. I'm sure already it's gotten quite a bit of comments, quite a lot of views. It's already been seen by a lot of people here on the forums, or on Reddit and on the forums. So I figured I just want to go through real quick and see, after having read through most of the forums, having read through most of the posts other people have made, and seen what some speculation is all about. I kind of wanted to go over real quick what we might expect to see. As I said, this is all leaked information. This is based on some voice files, as far as I can tell, or voiceovers for Skavens, and so like I said, this is all speculation. But it does, I think, some of the most, if not all of the stuff here should give us some indicator of what we can expect to see for the Skaven, and some additional units some additional units and regiments of renown, and what they could be. Now, this is all, like I said, this is all speculation. We're going to reiterate that one more time, but I really did want to get this out to you guys and just share it a bit and discuss it a little bit, because I think it's pretty cool. So, regardless, all based on leaks. This is minimal information. All we have is just basically the names of the different regiments of renown, presumably, and the units. So, there's, as far as I'm able to, now there's a little bit of guesswork here, but as far as I can tell, there's 3 units. There's the Warplocker Jezzails right down there. We do have a giant rat pack, and then the Rattling Gun weapons team. Now, this is this on one hand, I'm kind of happy just to see some of the most iconic remaining Skaven units there. On the other hand, it is a little disappointing, because as far as I can tell, there's no mention of Storm Fiends, there's no mention of Warp Grinders, no mention of Poison Wind Mortars. So there's definitely quite a few units still missing. Now, I don't know if these will be added at a later date. I also don't even know if the intent is for some of these units to be free LC. It's entirely possible I've discussed that we might get another Skaven free LC. Skaven had a lot of potential lords. They've got a lot of cool potential starting positions, like Clan Molder, of course, and Help It, who would make much more sense with a giant rat pack. But regardless, there are quite a few options. Now, going over what we have here, the Warplocker Jezzails, of course, are, and I kind of want to discuss what these units might bring to the table and what could be cool about them and what they could do. So the Warplocker Jezzails, obviously, they're sniper rifles, essentially, that fire Warpstone. So instead of firing conventional bullets, they fire essentially condensed chaos or condensed warp. So some pretty nasty stuff. They're basically one of the longest ranged and one of the most lethal sort of weapons in, or lethal small arm type weapons. They are, if you look at the models, they come in with shields for the. They're a 2-man team. It's a weapons team, and one guy's carrying around a shield. One guy does have a sniper rifle. Now, based on what I kind of expect, what I'm kind of expecting is for these guys to have very long range. Probably looking at, I would anticipate, at minimum 160, like a long range on par with a crossbow. And that would be, in my opinion, way underpowered. What I would expect is honestly a minimum of 200 range. Is really what I would expect is 200 range. I honestly expect them to outrange Weight Watchers, and deliver some nasty fire. Now, I expect them to be a smaller unit size. I expect them to probably come in a unit size of, say, 36. On the flip side, I expect them to be hitting a lot harder than an average, say, Empire Rifleman, or an average handgunner, or an average, probably, potentially even hitting harder than a Weight Watcher, and delivering some sort of, I would assume, poison on the weapons, just because they are firing Warpstone, they aren't firing normal bullets. So I would kind of anticipate a poison effect. I could be wrong, but I would almost anticipate that. Now, on the flip side, they might be doing magic damage, because currently all the Warpstone-based weapons do magic damage. This would be unfortunate in the Dwarf matchup. Not really too important against anything else, but something worth keeping in mind. Probably bronze shields at least, maybe silver shields. I'd kind of expect bronze though. And I would assume they're going to have quite a setup time. While they might not be on artillery levels of setup time, I would expect them to sort of take a little while to set up after moving before they open fire. Unlike, say, high elf longbowmen or bowmen who can just march up and open fire almost immediately, or even for that matter, other units' handguns, other factions' handguns. Now, alongside that, we do have somewhere in here the rattling gun weapons team. Once again, I would expect this to be a long setup time, a very high rate of fire. Handgun style team. I'm not entirely sure. I think these guys do fire warpstone bullets as well. So potentially, but what I do expect them to be is essentially a rapid fire handgun equivalent, or thunder equivalent, where they would shoot probably, I would expect 2-3 times. Maybe they'd function a little bit like the Hellblaster, where they'd fire in a burst, but a big burst. I would assume you'd see a lot of bullets very, very quickly. Obviously, with the disadvantage, probably relatively short range, even perhaps shorter than handguns. You might be looking at something like Dark Shard range, maybe even shorter. Obviously, a bit of a setup time. Obviously, pretty vulnerable crews because they probably won't have shields. The Warplock Giselles do have shields, but these guys, as far as I can tell on the models, do not. So, definitely could be cool. Definitely could be doing a lot of damage and mowing through enemies. If we do get magic damage on these units, they could definitely be an absolute destructive force against a lot of heavy cav. That tends to be a plague for the Skaven. The Skaven don't have too many answers to heavy cav. So a lot of factions that can just bring a lot of heavy cavalry, just run roughshod over them and do whatever the heck they want. So this could be, between the Rattling Gun and the Warplock Giselle, they could get some really hard counters to that. And then we do have the Giant Rat Pack, so this is a bit of an odd one. The Giant Rat Pack, as far as I'm aware, is not quite comparable to, say, dire wolves. They're smaller, but I don't think it's not a rat swarm, so it's not like a swarm unit, but they are smaller than dire wolves. So I don't know if it will be just like a huge unit, like a 120 model disruption unit, or if it's going to be, if it's not 120 model or some sort of like huge. Basically what I'm saying is just it's going to be it could be a huge unit of small stuff, or they're just going to essentially, these guys are just supposed to be wolf rats, which is the Forge World model, which is basically, as far as I can tell, the equivalent of dire wolves or of warhounds. So this is also kind of compounded by the fact that one of the regiments of renown here, what I assume is the regiment of renown here, is considered the wolf rats. So I would kind of think is that what we might get is the Giant Rat Pack, which is a mob of a lot of little rats, and then with the wolf rats, you'd get a smaller unit size of bigger rats. So perhaps this would be more of a dire wolf style, dire pack style unit, whereas this would be a unique sort of novel mob unit, mob fast disruption unit. And I honestly, like I said, I don't really know if this is the case. I don't know if this is what to expect. This is all speculative, but I did want to go over it. Now, the rest of this, all based on, this is all, as far as I can tell, regiments of renown, or most likely regiments of renown. Going through real quickly, we do have the Beastlings of Seep Gore now. Most likely, I would assume these are going to be Rat Ogres. I do believe we already have a Skaven Hell Pit Abomination beast in the Norscan Hunts, which it would be odd if it has a repeat of that for Regiment of Renown. And plus, it is plural here, so unless it's going to be a whole bunch of tiny Hell Pit Abominations, I would suspect that these are going to be just Rat Ogres. Not sure what kind of buffs we'd be looking at, but they're Beastlings. I don't know. They're probably Rat Ogre Regiment of Renown. Blight Scabs Plague Pack. Once again, and I'm just speculating here. Blight Scabs, just judging by the Plague Pack and the description there, I would assume these guys are going to be either Plague Monks, or based on some other information I've seen, people were speculating that they could be a Clan Rat unit, armed with poison, or given poison. So something more akin to the Königstein Stalkers for the Vampire Counts. Generic sort of infantry unit granted poison. So it could be either. I'm not entirely sure, but that's kind of my speculation. Clan Vulcan's Tail Slashers. I really have no clue, honestly. Based on the information we have here, what sort of unit this could possibly be. Could be some sort of runner unit. Could be Death Runners. I don't really. This one I don't have too much speculation on, because there's not that many units that would make sense for this sort of name, but I could be just completely off and forgetting about something. But going on, these two I do think are fairly predictable. One of these I assume is going to be Regiment of Renown Stormvermin Halberds, probably the Council Guard. One of these I would assume are going to be normal Stormvermin. So I would assume one of these units would have Guardian. Council Guard, I would definitely anticipate would have a Guardian trait. That's very much in the vogue right now. And for the Skaven, who actually do have foot or slow lords, you don't usually bring a mobile lord. The only one option you really have is the Bone Crusher. This could actually be really useful, because 18% physical resist thrown on Lord Skrulk, thrown on even Queek or one of those units is actually pretty nifty. Because with a lot of other lords, you want your lord on a mount, you want him moving around, you want him mobile. So with the exception of like the Swords of Chaos, most of the other Guardian units don't actually synergize well with any of their lords, with any of the lord choices. So I think this could be really, really good. Now, going on, we do have there's the Flint Rats. I would assume some sort of Regiment of Renown, Warplock Jezzails. Just Flint. I would assume that. These guys are given Flintlock weaponry. I would kind of assume this is going to be Warplock Jezzails. I could be completely off. Flint, of course, could mean something to do with fire, but given that we do have the Vulcan Firetails down here, who I would assume are going to be Regiment of Warp Fire Thrower, that is why I'm speculating that this is going to be Warplock Jezzail Regiment of Renown. Once again, this is all speculative, but it's something I just thought might be the case. Now, going on further, Giant Rat Pack, which I speculate is going to be a unit. Great Claw Feasic, I would assume this is going to be a Plague Claw Catapult. Not much else to say. Given that it's a singular, but then again, it could be a single model artillery piece that does a huge amount of splash, like a Hell Cannon. But then again, for example, the Hammer of Gork is currently a triple model entity, despite the fact that it's a singular. So I don't know. But it could be some sort of special Plague Claw Catapult. Halscree's Chosen, I really have no clue here. I have no idea. Scabrous Elder's Pox, I would guarantee this is going to be either Plague Monks or Plague Monk Sensor Bearers. I'd kind of speculate, just because it's supposed to be a higher tier unit, but assuming just because of the whole Elders thing, and I would kind of assume that means some sort of... I would kind of think it's going to be Plague Monks Sensor Bearers, but honestly, either way, it's probably going to be Plague Monks. Gaseous ones, kind of, I think, self-explanatory. I'd assume I would assume the gaseous ones would be the Poison Wind Globes or Death Globes. Needless Less, no idea. I legit have no clue. Which, yeah, I really don't know. I don't really know what this could be. Perhaps somebody else here has some speculation. If you guys do, be sure to post down below. I have no idea. Scurry Stabbers, this is what I would kind of expect to be Death Runners, just because that seems like a sort of sneaky stabbing type deal. And given that I feel like we've already gotten Regiments of Renown or speculative Regiments of Renown from almost every other infantry unit, that's kind of what I would expect. But obviously, once again, I could be wrong. And that's kind of wraps it up. What I assume is going to be Warp Fire Thrower Regiment of Renown. So a good selection of Regiments of Renown in there. The Wolf Rats, who I kind of glossed over right now, probably is the Regiment of Renown for the Giant Rat Pack. And we already kind of discussed how they could be a smaller unit model, higher stats unit. But regardless, I do like I said, this is all speculative. This is all kind of what I think it could possibly be. I have no idea if it will be. You'll see a whole bunch of speculation. I think other YouTubers, I do believe Italian Spartacus has already said he'll do a video on the subject. I don't know if this is going to be actually come true. Obviously, the DLC is not speculated until at least the winter, because we are supposed to get another supposedly faction DLC in between, as I discussed before. This could be 6 months away. This could be maybe even further away. Maybe I don't even know if this DLC will come out until next year. So really, this could be a very distant sort of goal. And these units are all subject to change. There are some other voiceovers in the game that don't actually have a unit assigned to them or don't match up with a unit. So definitely, whatever I say here, like I said, it's all speculation, but it is based on this sort of leak that we've had, and I definitely thought it was cool. I definitely think it's good to get it out there and just to share and see what you guys think. If you guys have any comments, if you have anything you'd like to share, if you have any speculation of your own, if you maybe know something about the lore or something that you think would give away what these units could be, I'd love to hear it. I'm sure a lot of other people would like to hear and see what it could possibly be. So definitely don't hesitate to post down below if you have any of your own comments, opinions, whatever. I'll and I'll be happy to look at them and see what you guys think. As usual, guys, I do appreciate you all for watching. I do know this was a little bit ranty, a little bit messy, but I really wanted to get it out there. So I do thank you all for watching. If you haven't, if you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe down below if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you all, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.